So I'd like to call this meeting of the Madison Local School Board to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Miss Amy Walker.
Here.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
Here.
Ms. Cotterman.
Here.
Mr. Wigton.
Here.
Mr. Mosher is absent.
Item C, adoption of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
No discussion?
Discussion, sorry.
No.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
4.
Mr. Wigton.
4.
Mrs. Cotterman.
4.
Miss Amy Walker.
4. And then item D, approval of previous board meeting minutes. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Discussion.
I'll let you know, I made a mistake on the July minutes. I left something out, so that's why this is revised, and it was under the president's business. So. Okay, do the roll call. Mr. Wigton.
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
4.
Mrs. Cotterman.
4.
Miss Amy Walker.
4. Item E, presentation of certificates.
Yeah, I do have a couple presentations to make this evening, and this is something new that we are instituting this year to recognize excellence in both our teaching staff and our staff that are not teachers, and I've titled it the Ram Pride Award, so this will be the inaugural one this month. So at this time, if we could, Mrs. Porter, would you please come forward? Mr. Stump nominated Mrs. Porter, and he could not be here tonight. Otherwise, he would be up here with her. But how this worked, I accepted nominations from all of our principals and supervisors, and with those nominations, Mr. McVicker, Mrs. Neron, and myself came to a collective decision on who we decided as the Ram Pride Award winner for September. And so I want to read what Mr. Stump wrote about Mrs. Porter, and then I'll recognize her with a certificate. Mrs. Porter is a teacher who understands that being a teacher is more than what happens in the classroom. Often she is the first to arrive at an event and the last to leave, providing help and support for a school event as she seeks to serve others. Mrs. Porter helped establish and continues to chair a Tier 1 and Tier 2 PBIS committee, resulting in Mifflin being awarded the Silver Award for its efforts. Mrs. Porter even leads a directed paint for the entire school every year as one of our leadership celebrations, courageously standing in front of over 250 students as a reward for positive behavior choices. Mrs. Porter is the Mifflin Math Department Chair and actively shapes building procedures by lending her wisdom to the building leadership team. It is her energy and drive which often takes the ideas of the team and creates a system that appeals to the interests of both students and staff. Mrs. Porter is also part of the Literacy Committee, transforming Mifflin once a year into scenes from a book from Mifflin's One School, One Book initiative. With her own children attending Madison and being involved in numerous clubs and sports, it is a wonder to see where Mrs. Porter finds the time to be so involved with all of the happenings at Mifflin. Aside from being involved with committees outside of the regular school day, Mrs. Porter exemplifies the district vision of creating a culture of learning for everyone and empowering students to reach their full potential. Her classroom is one that is centered around holistic, high expectations for her students, stemming from her belief that every child has their own genius and can excel in ways that are unique to them. Mrs. Porter offers her wisdom to both her students and her colleagues to encourage and uplift the school community, and it is truly an honor to work alongside someone of such outstanding character, strength, and dedication to others, as her servant's heart is visible to all. Join me in a round of applause for Mrs. Porter. And then next, I'd like to invite Dave Brown, one of our custodians at Madison South, and his supervisors, Mrs. Cox, the South principal, and Mr. Neron, operations supervisor. And I will read Mr. Brown's nomination comments. Dave Brown is a true team player within the operations department. Whenever unforeseen events or staffing shortages arise, Dave is always willing to step in and provide support across different buildings. He consistently goes above and beyond, taking on extra work when needed and covering for absent team members without hesitation. His strong work ethic, adaptability, and willingness to help in any situation are deeply appreciated by both administrators and colleagues. In addition to his reliability, Dave has built a remarkable rapport with the students at Madison South. Fondly known as Mr. Dave, his presence brings smiles to both students and staff. He takes the time to sing happy birthday to every student in the cafeteria on their special day, and he has even partnered with the Lions Club to ensure a student received a new pair of glasses. These small yet meaningful acts reflect his compassion and commitment to the well-being of our school community. Dave's positive attitude, dedication, and genuine care make him an invaluable member of Madison local schools. We are truly fortunate to have him on our team. Mr. Dave Brown.
Thank you. I'd just like to say one thing, okay? I was in this building when I first started here in the middle school, and Mr. Peterson, me and him were both walking in to a basketball game together, and he says, hey, Dave, you know you're going downhill? And I thought, what's this about? And I said, what's that about, Rob? He says, well, he says, you go from the high school to the middle school. He said, now you're at South at elementary. He said, you can't go any lower. But you know what? I'm where I need to be right now, because it's hard for me to do. There's a lot of kids out there that struggling. If I can be a bright spot in their day, you know, I tell people I get a raise every day, and they say, how do you get a raise every day? To people I know, I said, I get 50 hugs a day. You can't put a value on that. So I'd just like to thank everybody.
All right.
Item F, recognition of visitor,
I'd just like to say that we're truly blessed to have Dave a part of the Madison community, so thank you all.
If I could have 26 of Dave's, there you go. Not saying I don't have a good crew, but if I could have 26.
Thank you, guys, and congratulations. Sorry.
That's okay. Item F, recognition of visitors. Do we have any visitors today that would like to address the board? Item G, administrative committee reports. Legislative, there's no report. And then athletic board of control.
We have not met.
Student representatives' comments.
Hi, I'm Courtney. I'm going to be the student representative today. So for sports updates, volleyball, their first game for the second half of the conference season was played against Dover, but unfortunately both teams fell after battling hard. For football, they just won a game against Worcester last Friday and are now gearing up to play West Holmes for the homecoming game this Friday. Tennis's new record for girls is 11-2 for dual matches and have OCCs next Friday. Cross country boys and girls both have been amazing with their PRs coming in every single meet. Girls golf have their third round of OCCs tomorrow and are currently seated 5th in the conference as a team. Boys soccer last night beat West Holmes 6-0 with a lot of new things being tried on the field. Girls soccer most recently beat Norwalk, New Philly, Mansfield, and Dover, and beat more and more teams as they get closer to OCC times. Cheer girls are starting practices for the competition season, and band is hosting a cleanup this Saturday morning and will be having other students help as well for the stadium. HOCO theme for this year is A Night in Rio de Janeiro, which will be this Saturday. Student Council is excited to see how their hard work has turned out, and the King and Queen will be announced this Friday at the Assembly for the King and the football game for the Queen. That's all.
Thank you. Facilities?
Just a quick couple updates. Roofing project at the high school was finished up record time. They had between 14, 16 people up on the roof at one point, getting everything wrapped up for us. Punch list has been completed, 100% complete. Boiler project for the high school is on the docket for today for approvals. Once that's approved, we're looking at about a 6 to 8 week time frame from start to finish on the project. Standards already starting to get things rolling, so as soon as it's approved, we'll get going on that. Thanks.
Thank you. Board policy?
Yes, we met on the 3rd. There's multiple policies. It's all a result of federal and state law. I have them here if anyone have any questions. The only one I want to comment on is the personal communication devices. That won't start until after winter break. And all the administrators will work with the students and communicate with the parents. We have plenty of time. They're going to prepare everybody for that.
All right, student achievement?
At Eastview, they just announced the student council team, which is being led by Mrs. Drake. Students are also working on their beginning of year diagnostics. At Mifflin, students are tackling the summer slide by diving into content after learning wide school expectations and classroom rules and procedures. For PBIS Tier 1 support, students were sorted into Team North or Team West to go along with our One School, One Book initiative of reading The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, where they will earn points for their houses and build a yellow brick road through achievement in the classroom. Students also completed their Math iReady diagnostics and are currently taking their reading assessments that will help to create supports for both daily enrichment and intervention. At Madison South, the 1st through 4th graders are off to a great start. They already have had 190 positive leadership referrals put in. Students get their names called on the announcements and get a prize each time they receive a leadership referral. Keep up the great work, kiddos. At the middle school, the school year has started and students are following the building theme of leveling up to be better students and people. All students have completed the diagnostic tests for iReady, and the staff is working to provide support for students to show growth in the winter diagnostic. They increased their building report card by 2 stars on the gap closing component, and all 4 grade levels showed an increase in the achievement component in math. At the high school, the National Honor Society hosted their Red Cross blood drive today. Congratulations to these business management seniors who have received their Rise Up Retail Industry Fundamentals certification. Great job. The seniors are Julius Walker, Nick McGlott, Evan Cyrus, Taylor Steffi, Keziah Thornley, AJ Studer, Jamelyn Mays, Liv Penrod, and Morgan Stewart. And for Career Tech, they would like to share that they currently have 26 students approved for senior work release as of today. One of those students in particular has earned the opportunity to partner with the district within the IT department and has been working and interning with them for several weeks now, and it's going very well. They're preparing for sophomore manufacturing tours across our area for October 3rd in partnership with the Richland County Manufacturing Coalition as they continue to work towards the goal of career exposure and career opportunity for our students. And lastly, at the Career Center, they're pleased to share that the 24-25 dental assisting graduates have a related placement rate of 100%. Recent graduations are 81%, with 10 out of 12 students completing the certified nurse's aide, 6 out of 8 completing dental assisting, 6 out of 8 completing the industrial electrical maintenance, 5 out of 6 completing the nail technician, and 7 out of 8 completing precision machining and CNC technology. And recent certifications with 80%, 1 out of 1 student passed registered medical assistant certification, 2 out of 2 passed the certified nursing assistant certification, and 5 out of 7 passed the National Institute for Metalworking Skills certification exam.
Okay, thank you. Superintendent's update?
Yeah, just a few things to update you on. Our first senior citizen lunch or luncheons of the year will be tomorrow. Those will start, the first one is at 11 o'clock, the second one at 12:30, and I think we have slightly over 100 senior citizens registered between those two luncheons, so very excited to meet with them tomorrow. The second item to update you on, a couple years ago, the state now allows districts to develop and use their own principal evaluation system. The one that was in place and that we are currently using is the Ohio Principal Evaluation System, which was designed at the state level and most districts across the state are using. It is very labor intensive, very laborious. I don't know how effective it is under those circumstances. So just making you aware that between myself and the principals, we are going to be investigating the possibility of developing our own evaluation system for principals. So I may be reporting back on that and bringing potentially a new system to the board to approve at some point. It would be for next school year. Want to share with you some enrollment data. I know that's kind of a hot topic in the district right now, and so what I looked at, our EMIS coordinator was able to provide me with data today and this is up to date as of today, and what I looked at was what are our numbers today as compared to on this exact date 1 year ago. And as I looked at those across the district, we're down about 53 students from this time last year. But when I broke it down a little bit further, if you look at last year's senior class, which was a large class, one of the largest for us, that was 226 students, was last year's senior class, so they're now gone. And the new group of kindergartners, incoming kindergartners this year is 170. So that's a 56 student difference. So right there is basically the difference is the large outgoing senior class and then a smaller incoming group of kindergartners.
How many kindergartners?
170.
I thought you said 107 at first.
No. And then the other piece of enrollment that I did want to share with you is while overall enrollment numbers are down, the one area where they are up is in the area of special education, which we know is very expensive to educate those students. Our numbers from last year to this year went from 419 last year, which was about 17% of our student population, to 430 this year, which is about 18% of our students. So it went up 1% in a year. And I think for a long time for our district, it hovered right around 14, 15%. So you can see we're up from that. So the percentage of our student population as far as students with disabilities is growing, and especially growing is that the severe autism and those types of students, that is just kind of exploding in our district. So just wanted to share with you those numbers, And then lastly, report cards were released this week by the State Department of Education. And I just want to share some data with you. Meant to distribute these packets to you beforehand. We're not going to go through the entire packet, but I did want to share some highlights with you. In totality, we are very pleased with our report card. However, we are not satisfied with it. We know there are still some areas that there's a lot of room for growth, and we are working diligently to improve in all areas. Tuesday, met with all of our principals, as well as curriculum, our assessment administrator, and our student services director. And we are looking into our successes and what are the root causes for those, the areas where we're struggling, and what are the root causes for those, and working to put some strategies in place to improve in all of those areas. So you can see there that kind of the highlights are on that front page of that packet. Our district graduation rate was 5 stars, that which 5 stars is the highest rating you can get. For the first year, college, career, workforce, and military readiness was rated, and we got a 5-star rating there. And you'll see those both at the district level and at the high school level, because those are measuring high school students. And then at Eastview, their overall rating was 4.5 stars, a 5-star gap closing rating, a 4-star early literacy rating. Mifflin, their overall rating was 4 stars, gap closing 5 stars. And I should say that anywhere where we receive 5 stars, it's listed here, and 4 stars if the 4-star rating was up at least a star from last year. At South, 5 stars for progress, which shows growth, student growth. Gap closing 4 stars. Middle school overall rating of 4 stars. Progress 4 stars. I already shared with you the high school. And then our career technical programs get a completely separate report card, and there were, so they got a 5 as an overall rating. Achievement, career and post-secondary readiness, and graduation were all 5 stars. There was only one other rating for them, and post-secondary outcomes, they didn't get 5-star on that, they got a 4-star, and so that's, I think, says a lot about our career tech program and the success that they're having. So I'm not going to go through all this with you. You can see it. The one glaring area that we're focused on a lot of different areas, but a real focus on early literacy. We know that that's the foundation for everything that we do, and preparing students for future school success as well as success in life. So we are definitely zeroed in on our early literacy and improving there. So that concludes my update.
Okay, thank you. Item H, we have our high school presenting this evening. Mr. Conway's up first.
Okay, hello everybody, and congratulations to those who were honored tonight. That's amazing. Because we are the first presentation of the school year, we kind of do a little overview of how last year went, and then just talk about some things we're looking forward to this year. You're going to hear from me, Coach Ricker, and then also Mr. Ditlevson. One thing I'm just very proud of is the team that we have at the high school, including Mr. Grove. Feel really good about it. I feel like we have a lot of people that bleed green and care about our kids. If you look up there, that picture, I just picked that for the start of the presentation just because I thought it was an awesome representation of Ram Pride. Our kids were so excited, went out on the field after a big win and just showed how much they cared about each other. It was a very nice moment. I might have cried a little bit when it happened, but ready to move on here. As always, let's see what I got to do here. I promise this is okay. Try one more time. Okay, there we go. All right. Just had to will it to victory there. Just talking quickly about the class of 2025. As you can see, it was a very high achieving class as well. With 30% being above a 3.5, 54%, over half being above a 3.0. And you can see they were awarded $4 billion in scholarships. The one thing I do want to talk about is there were 12 valedictorians. This is the last time we will have that large group of valedictorians because starting with the class of 2026, they will be under the quality points system. So we will go back to having one, maybe two valedictorians, salutatorians, and also we now have instituted the cum laude, magna cum laude, summa cum laude. So that'll be the first year for that. We also talking about last year's seniors. I don't remember a class that had this much representation in the armed forces. Just want to say one last time to these individuals just how proud we are of them. I mean, it's amazing. I can't go through and read them all because we'd be here too long, but just to kind of see those students and how well represented the class of 2025 was in the armed forces just goes to their character. Mary Madison Christmas is always something we hang our hat on. I'd like to just highlight that we were able to help 12 Madison families, which included 39 children. The one thing I also would like to say is that it is growing, and it's not becoming just a high school thing. It might originate at the high school, but every building was adopting families, and even outside partners like the Lions Club were adopting families. So, I mean, it has been really, really cool to see this grow, and it's even moving on to other districts because of the inspiration that this has happened here at Madison. So just very proud of it. The next slide just quickly just talks about different groups that got involved and what they were donating, because even if groups weren't adopting families, they were raising money or they were donating items to give to those families. Quickly talk about our test results from last year. As Mr. Peterson said, we are proud but not satisfied. A couple things you can see on the right-hand side, the highlighted in yellow are the tests where we were above the state average, which was the majority. Biology, we were 1 point below the state average at 63 when the state average was 64, but as you can see, we grew 5 percentage points from the previous year. Geometry has still kind of been the thing that we are working at. We are growing, we're trending in the right direction, but still not where we need to get to. But as you can see, some things to be really proud of. English being 10 percentage points above the state average. American history, 6 points. Government, 8 points. I think our kids are scoring very, very well. And this is including all students, and that is including the online academy and alternative program who are not getting their education in a face-to-face setting. And those students, they're going to struggle a little bit on state tests. So very proud of what our kids are doing. However, we're not satisfied. One thing I will talk about briefly is an initiative that we started this year is going to assessment authoring, which we think will help us with our report card. Mr. McVicker was instrumental in helping us get set up with assessment authoring. That is something that I think will help our end of course exam scores. So I hope, even though I'm happy with what you see, I think you're going to be even more excited next year. The next slide is just you can kind of see how we progressed all the way back to fiscal year 18. So again, not going to spend a lot of time on it now, but you can kind of go through and look at that in your leisure. We are very proud of our choir and our band. Our choir, for the, seventh year in a row? Yes, seventh straight year, our chorale has earned state recognition. And for the fourth year in a row, our women's chorus won state recognition. And just want to say, I don't know of a finer choir director than Craig Green. We are extremely lucky to have him, and he has done so much for the arts. Also, even though Ms. Carlson has left us, Ms. Fanning is still here, and she's taken over leadership of the band. They also earned an excellent rating at the Ohio Music Education Association large group competition. So very proud of them as well. Don't know what happened. So the next slide, I'm sure it'll come back. I promise it'll come back. That's okay. Well, I know it. All right. So the next slide, we talked about the honors breakfast. Oh, there it is. I knew it. And all we did was, I try to give you some statistics. Obviously, the winter, because of the numbers of sports, has the lowest number of scholar athletes, but we try to recognize our honor roll breakfast every quarter, first, second, and third quarter. We obviously don't do it in the fourth quarter. Finally, before we kind of move on and turn it over to Coach Rickert, I just want to give you some information from the alternative program. There were 44 high school students and 12 middle school students that were there last year. But I am proud of how these students have turned it around and take whatever situation they had and made the absolute most of it. You can see there were 22 students last year that graduated. And those students probably, when they entered into the alternative program, didn't have much hope of graduating. We had 22 turn it around and graduate, which is amazing. 8 of them even graduated early. So that's a really cool stat, I think, for our kids in the alternative program. Also, the attendance rate being 92%. That's also something we're very proud of. Now I'm going to turn it over to Coach Rickert. He's going to talk a little bit about athletics.
Okay. Okay. Let me talk a little bit about last year first and how we finished up. We actually just got these, we got 6 Wall of Fame photos back this week. Normally we're not putting up 6 Wall of Fame photos, so it was a very outstanding year for us. First of all, that's our OCC champion soccer team. We're hoping for another one this year. Big game next week against Worcester, who's also undefeated in the league. But they're off to a fantastic start, state ranked, and have only lost 1 game. So leading the league right now, us and Worcester both undefeated in the league. It'll be a good one next week. Our softball team also was OCC champions last year, district champions, and lost in an unbelievable walk-off grand slam that beat us in the regional finals last year. Just heartbreaking, with 2 outs, having that thing won, and that girl hit the home run. But a lot of the girls back next year, or this year, I should say. So really excited about where our softball program's heading right now. And these are all Ohio kids that were put on there last year. Randy Jameson, you see, he was also North Central Ohio Player of the Year, District Player of the Year. He was first team All-Ohio. We had also, go ahead, Aiden Proctor. Aiden is also back this year. He finished 8th at state in wrestling. His picture was also on the wall. Had a fantastic year, having a really nice football season for us also this year. And Jackson Stakem, you can see that Jackson has already won 102 matches in his career, which is quite an accomplishment. Finished 6th at state last year, and again, back this year, so we're really excited about what he can do and having a great football season also. And Kalia Clapper was a second-team All-Ohioan as a freshman. That does not happen very often. Of course, she was OCC Pitcher of the Year. You see what she did, striking out 202 girls, 146 innings was pretty impressive, and also batting .535. So, she's going to be on the bump the next 3 years. We'll be pretty excited to see her still pitching for us, and also a soccer player and basketball player. Our Athletic Hall of Fame, many of you know these names, Ed Chelsky, Jeff Jenkins, George Keene, Corey Rupert, Mike Seawick, Obie Stillwell, and Dana Woodring were the 3rd class inducted into the Athletic Hall of Fame. Another wonderful ceremony. I had a couple people that it was their first time they went, and they were from out of town, and got a couple great emails on how classy it was and how wonderful that presentation was. So really excited about all the hard work everyone put into that. Let me just talk a little bit about this year so far. It was talked about a little bit by Ms. Cyrus there, but the football season is off to a 2-2 start. It's the first 2-2 start we've had in the last 10 years. So excited about that. The freshman football team's having a nice year. The JV football team's having a nice year. I got a text on the way in here that our 7th grade football team was up 30-0 on Lexington tonight at halftime. So excited about what's going on right now with our program. I think I told you about what soccer's doing. We hope we make another run. Lost a tough one last year in a district final, hoping to get over that hump and win that conference for the second year in a row. That's not easy to win our league and in any sport, and that's why it's so big to win a conference championship around here. Our girls soccer has struggled a bit, but they've played a pretty crazy schedule. They've played 4 state-ranked teams already, including one the other night in Amherst Steel, but lost 2-0, played really hard. Our volleyball team, I've got to watch them a couple times, and when I'm not at some of the other games, and haven't been winning a lot of games, but they fight like crazy. Have played pretty well, just not a lot of height there, and played Dover last night, and Dover's 5'11", 6'1" across the board, makes it tough on us, but playing pretty well. Our boys golf team, we don't get a lot of talk about golf all the time. If they play in the OCC tournament tomorrow, if they win that tournament, they have a chance to win the league. Them, Ashland, and Lexington are all battling that out. They've won 3 tournaments already this year and finished second twice in other tournaments, so having a great year. Our tennis team was talked about a little bit. They've only lost 1 dual match all season. Emma Reynolds is undefeated as a player this year in the first singles, which is fantastic. The other day she got Baldwin Wallace actually called her up and would like her to be part of the Baldwin Wallace team, which is fantastic for us. We haven't had a lot of tennis players move on in a while to play, so that's been exciting. So there's some really good things happening right now, and I think we're very excited about where we're heading. So thank you very much.
I talked briefly about our team, and the team, I don't know what's happening. Okay. Well, anyway, the next few slides, we're going to be talking about what we're doing this year. First thing I was going to do, and you'll see it, is welcome the new members of the high school. We are very excited about them. This was the first year we didn't have to hire a ton. We only had 2 new teachers hired. They'll just see them. So I went through, these are all some of our new teachers and new staff members, everything from paraprofessionals to our school nurse. We're very excited about them. We think they're going to have a great year. Moving on, wanted to tell you kind of what our focus is going to be for this year. Obviously, we've already talked about our academic achievement initiatives, so we kind of broke it down for our staff. Hey, this is what we have done in the past. But I want to talk about what we're going to do. I talked briefly about we're adding assessment authoring, and we're going to also evaluate those things that you see up there, the CAT meetings, which stands for Critical Academic Team, senior tracking meetings, academic assist. We're going to keep evaluating those forms of assessment to see what kind of impact are they having. One thing Mr. Ditlison will talk about briefly will be our family engagement team. That is something that we're moving forward this year. Last couple of years, our focus has been student engagement. We're trying to branch that out now to family engagement. So I'm not going to steal his thunder. He'll talk about that very briefly. I also, the next slide was going to be about, there we go, team goals for the 25-26 team. Team is just always something I talk about. I just talked about a lot of them, so I won't kind of take your time up, but this is something that we share with our staff saying, hey, as a team, admin, support staff, teaching staff. This is what we're all working for in our building. And as you can see, number 4 always stays the same. And number 4 is Ram Pride in all aspects of the Madison experience. That's our academics, our programs, our athletics, the arts, and clubs. We want Ram Pride in everything we do. Our MSI, I'll turn it over to Mr. D because he'll have the last few slides here. Well,
Just guess.
try, yeah.
Alrighty. So I'll be sharing some things related to culture and climate around the high school, as well as some special projects. So the first thing I want to share about is our MSI team. That stands for Madison Student Initiative. That is one of our several student leadership teams. That student leadership team did a lot of good work this last year, such as raising funds for Merry Madison Christmas. We kind of almost ran that like a telethon, if you will. Attended the Fall Regional Student Leadership Conference at Mid-Ohio. We spearheaded the Black History Month celebrations, which included visiting Eastview Elementary. We also facilitated 8th grade tours and orientation meetings, as well as piloting some goal-setting tools, which helped inform our staff leadership team in terms of next steps for goal-setting school-wide. Also wanted to give some shout-outs to all of the grants that have been raised to help support different programs and classrooms at our school. I think even this evening you might have seen some grants coming through for approval. A lot of that work is Amy O'Connell, one of our intervention specialist teachers. I'm not going to read all of these, but this lists all of the work that she's done, totaling in the amount of $14,370. Another grant that we've had renewed this year was a $14,000 grant called the Teach Arts Ohio Grant, which is through the Ohio Arts Council, which has provided funding for a visiting artist. Much of the work of the visiting artist has included co-teaching with our full-time art teaching staff, as well as providing enrichment opportunities for advanced level art students, and even working on some collaborative pieces that are displayed in our cafeteria that represent our core values. He's pulling some of the themes and ideas from our mission and vision statements for these panels that he's put up. Alrighty. Some PBIS updates. Not going to go over our matrix. That's in there if you want to peruse that later. Student recognition, we're still staying on it with our weekly shout outs to students that are getting positive referrals. We do that over the announcements. We put it on Facebook, Instagram, our TV, so that's important to us. And we're also recognizing teachers as they are doing things that are above and beyond. This year, we're continuing to partner with some of our community partners, getting donations for our weekly awards. Mrs. Steffi, she's helped a lot with that. So the movie theater, Wendy's, the State Reformatory, the trampoline park, and many other businesses and faith-based organizations have helped us out tremendously. A little bit of discipline data. It looks like a pile of spaghetti right there, but that is the last 5 years, I think, of discipline data. We are starting the year lower than we have in the past, but the way we talk about things at our school is that we're not super sacred about a number being higher or lower. We just respond to the data and meet students' needs based on data-informed decisions. So it's always good to be going down, but sometimes it goes up if you're holding students accountable, which is a good thing. That's just an overall breakdown, trending down. And again, context, yes, enrollment is down, so that can bring your office discipline referrals down as well, but we're trending in the right direction. A little bit about family engagement. We'll see if that, what's the trick, Mr. Conway? Do you just, and then it comes back? Okay, we'll hope it comes back online in a second, but I'll just talk a little bit. So this last year, we started a family engagement team, which the goal of the family engagement team was to bridge that gap between the world going on at school and at home. And in terms of tracking metrics, in terms of the success of the team, the main thing that we looked at last year was improving our attendance in chronically absent numbers. This year, based on some funding kind of logistics at the state support teams locally, state support teams, if you don't know what that is, that's like the regional branches of ODEW. That's a good way to explain that. But we're looking at now family engagement to improve chronic absenteeism and truancy with the purpose of improving student achievement among students with disabilities. So there's like another dot that we're connecting there. So a lot of that work this year has already included making preliminary phone calls to students that have been identified at risk for one reason or another. So we made 175 plus phone calls to welcome students back to school, talk with them about the families in terms of what are your needs, do you know when the open house days are, do you know where to get your Chromebook, just making sure everyone's ready to go. Last spring semester, and into the beginning of this school year, we've been doing home visits to check on students that have been going missing in action, so to speak. And then we've also been talking to our staff about how we talk to parents and families and using a framework that we call best practice language. And then we also did some surveying and data collection last year that informed our team as well. All righty. Questions?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
very much. Okay, next up is item I, approval of donations. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? No. Okay, item J, treasurer's business. Can I get a motion?
Wait, oh, wait.
Need a vote.
You need to vote.
Oh, sorry, backwards.
So I motioned and Tim seconded.
Got up and left. I thought I could just.
Mrs. Melissa Walker,
4.
Mr. Wigton,
4.
Mrs. Scotterman,
4.
Miss Amy Walker.
4. Now treasurer's business. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I'll second. Tim motioned, I second.
All right. Well, first thing we're going to talk about is a monthly financial report. Maybe. So the revenues, I'm not going to read that to you, but I will tell you the tax revenues are up about 2%, which is what I forecasted. So that's right on track, 2% increase over last year. State foundation is under 1%, less than a 1% increase over last year, which is exactly what I've got forecasted, is what has been anticipated. But I do want to point out that local and other revenue generated, for that line, neither the month-to-month comparison nor the fiscal year-to-date revenue comparison the numbers are right, but they're a very inappropriate way to do a comparison as of last year, and here's why. Last year in August, we got a pretty large Medicaid reimbursement, which was out of character for the time of year, so that's why last year, August's revenues were $309,000 in that line, and this year they're only 58. 309 is way more than what they typically are. They're usually in between the 60 and 105,000, so we're actually pretty close to in line to the other fiscal years. And the reason the fiscal year to date is a bad measurement is because this year in August we returned the advance, and we usually don't typically have not had an advance to return, so that's why that line is, that 930,000 over last year. Well, yeah, it is because we had an advance, and that's not a typical thing. But other than that, the revenues, they are accurate and they're on track. And we ended the month with 42 days cash on hand. We look at the expenditures. So I said the revenues were up 2%, expenditures are up 4.5%. Unfortunately, that's also what has been predicted. The huge thing that I pointed it out over and over again, and I'm going to continue to point out, is the driving force is our health insurance. Our benefits, if you look, the benefits year to date are up to $153,000 more by the end of August than they were the previous year. That is, significantly more than anything else up there. So health insurance is, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in the forecast, it's killing us. That being said, I don't want to say it's killing us and not tell you we're not doing anything about it. We've got an insurance committee meeting on the 24th. Mr. Peterson and I have had several meetings with a consortium called Jefferson Health Plan. In that insurance committee meeting, we're going to talk about some other enhancements to our plan that will save us some money. We're doing an insurance audit this year as well. We are doing some things, but it's hard to, you can't turn a train on a dime, and this is a big train. The unfortunate thing is there are a lot of things that are we're not able to just change because we want to change. They have to be agreed upon. So, we're going to have to continue to look at, how to go about making the changes that we need to make. I put this up last month. I decided not to take it down. I will eventually take it off, but this is just so you guys, it's how we spend, so you can see how last year, it is pretty detailed where the money goes. And the last slide that I did just add to this one that I didn't have on the July report is the comparison to the forecast. It's this page, right? Yeah, you got it. So believe it or not, August was 16.6% of the way through the fiscal year. At the end of September, we're going to be a quarter of the way. But last year we had 27% of the revenues that I had forecasted to come in. This year we're at 26%. These could be off by decimals because I just put them to 26. I didn't put it to 26.293 or whatever. So that being said, we're close. The reason the revenues aren't at 16% is because we only get real estate twice a year, August and February. So we get a huge hit. We got to wait 6 months, and then we get another huge hit. So that's why it's at 26. But if you look down at the expenditures, we're 17. Last year we're at 16. We're at 16.66% of the way through. So that tells me we are on track as to what is forecasted. And I'm telling you, we're on track. That's what is forecasted. All right. Before I move on to the anything else, are you guys okay with this monthly report? You want me to elaborate on anything? No. All right. Next is the permanent appropriations. I don't know if that's, there it is. So listen, permanent appropriations are it's a fancy way to say the budgets. And I have to submit this to the county auditor. I submit it as the permanent appropriations, which is what we are officially telling the county auditor we're going to receive in estimated revenues, what we had at the end of the fiscal year, so our total amount that we can spend, and then what we are budgeting to spend this year. And the far column on the right, which is blue, cannot be negative. You have to be positive. So the amount you have at the beginning of the year, your unencumbered cash balance, plus what you're anticipating to receive, must be greater than your budget, what you're telling them to spend. So that is important because that's going to tie in a little bit when I talk about the forecast. I give it to you in September for the permanent appropriations. We update it multiple times throughout the year in appropriation adjustments, and then you vote on the final in June, which says, here's what we actually received and what we actually spent, and gives you the same amount. And this has to be submitted to the county auditor. So any questions on the permanent appropriations for FY26? Okay, now I'm going to move on to the student activity budgets. Student activity budgets, I don't have those up there, but basically, in order for somebody like National Honor Society or Key Club or any student activity to spend money, they have to have a purpose statement. So what is the purpose of their club or activity? And they have to have a budget. How much are they going to bring in? How much are they going to spend? Those budgets are just approved by the board, and they, like anything else, budgets can change because you don't know exactly how much you're going to bring in. For example, maybe later on in the year, somebody decides to do a bake sale and they didn't have it on their original budget. We can update it, okay? But still, it has to be, those activity budgets have to be voted on and passed. Next thing we're going to talk a little bit more about is the fall submission of the 5-year forecast. So this is going to be, what you're going to see is it's exactly like what you've seen before as a 5-year forecast, but it's technically no longer a 5-year forecast. This House Bill 96, the last biennium budget that went through, made some changes. Now, that being said, the changes didn't affect us much because the one doesn't make sense why they even put it in. And here's what I mean. One of the things they said is this next year, the year you're forecasting, has to match your appropriations. Well, I've always done that as treasurer. That's what you're supposed to do. You have a budget, you have an estimated resources, that's your revenues in your 5-year forecast. You have expenditures, your budgets, that's the expenses on your 5-year forecast. I've always done that, but apparently there must have been other treasurers that haven't. So now the state's saying they have to match. So the board is aware, as long as I've been here, they've always matched. They match in the fall, when I did the May submission, they match in the spring. So that's not a change for you. Maybe it is somewhere else. The other change that is it will be different when I submit it to the state is they're only asking for this year plus a 3-year forecast or prediction rather than a total of 5. In my personal and professional opinion, the objective of a 5-year forecast is for you to plan, for you to see how things are being affected and what the long-term goal is. And if I shorten it up, it just makes the tool that you guys get to make decisions less valuable. So I'm just going to continue to do 5 years, but I'll submit the 4 to the state like they want, but you guys will continue to see all 5. So you can use it for its objective. It's still broken up into revenues and expenditures, and that's pretty much it for that. So revenues, the first thing I'm going to talk about, 90% of our revenues come from property taxes and state foundation. So I'm going to focus on the big rocks, not the little marbles. The other 8% comes from things like Medicaid reimbursements and interest and abatement payments, homestead and rollback fees, donations, miscellaneous stuff. So we'll focus on the 92%. So the first thing I'm going to focus on is real estate. So August is the first collection. August is technically in this fiscal year, okay? Because fiscal year starts July 1st. So since we already have the first real estate collection for the fiscal year, the real estate revenue for the fiscal year is based on that. It did decrease slightly over last year, and then the slight decrease was due to actually an increase in delinquencies and some increases in like owner-occupied and business credits and things like that. It's based on historical trends, and if you look, sometimes the numbers are a little bit, they're not at 2%, they're different, and that's because there's triennial updates and reappraisals. This year, I used the 2% because we're not in a triennial update now, and we're not in a reappraisal now. The next update, though, triennial update, is 2026. The growth in here for real estate is 2%. I talked about that in the monthly report. That was 2% was what was projected when I gave it to the state for the precautionary written plan. It's a historical trend. That's based on, that 2% growth is based on inside millage and new construction. We do not get, when everybody's property value goes up, our millage rate drops, because we are not at the 20 mil floor. We only see increases in this on new construction and inside millage. Okay? Next thing, we're going to talk about state aid, and that is flat, and it's unfortunate. And I'm going to go a little bit in, talk to you a little bit about this. So here's what happens. In the calculations the state uses, they updated our property values, okay, and income to determine what a community's capacity is to pay. So what the state did is they said, okay, let's look at 2024 data to see what your valuation is, and look at your 2024 data to see what the adjusted gross income is, and that is the district's, community's ability to pay. They use 2024 data. Then they looked at what's it cost to educate a kid. They use 2022 data, not 2024. So what does that do? Well, that shifts the burden from the state to the local. I've written some things down. It's right off. It thought I wrote it on the top here because it just. Okay, yeah, homeowners. Now, I know this is going back quite a bit, but homeowners and farmers used to carry like 67% of the school's tax revenue, or they carry, it's up from 46% in 1975. It was 67.5, now it's 67.5 now, it was 46.1, sorry. I apologize, guys. We'll get that right. So when House Bill 920 was enacted, basically I'm trying to say is these taxpayers were paying 46% of the bill to fund the schools. Now they're paying 67%. And why? It's because the state is pulling shenanigans like this, shifting the burden from the locals, or from the state to the locals. Mr. Peterson might be able to help me with this because he heard the statistic when the Rolf sued the state that said, and the state said the way you fund schools is unconstitutional. That was 1997. That was, I think, 44%. 44%.
The state was funding schools 44% then, even when that was determined to be unconstitutional and not enough.
Yeah, in 1997. Now it's what, 36?
At the end of this next 2-year biennium, it'll be down from 44% to 32%.
32.
So and they're giving money to private schools.
They are giving money.
No accountability.
And that the reason I wanted to talk about this is because on one hand, they're shifting, they are literally shifting the burden from the state to the public taxpayers. And then if you remember all the scuttlebutt about all the things they wanted to cut and do in the last biennium budget, then they're saying, well, we don't want to burden the taxpayers anymore, so we're going to make it more difficult for you to do this, 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 and this. So they are literally shifting the burden on with one branch of it and then trying to handcuff us on the other. It's scary. Back to this forecast, basically we are going to be flat. We're less than 1% over the next 2 years, okay? So we can't count on much, if anything.
Less than 0.5%.
Less than 0.5%, yeah. So state funding is not helping us out at all. So now we're going to go to expenditures, and I'm going to focus on 3 of them: salaries, benefits, and purchase services, because that's 95% of where we spend our money. So salaries are usually around half of what we spend. So you guys, I'm sure you're all aware that teachers, they all have steps. So even if there's no base rate wage increase, the average step increase over the entire salary schedule is 3%. Average for the whole thing is 3%. So even with no base wage increase, there's a 3% bump on average for the steps. So if you give a 2% base wage increase and there's a 3% bump in steps, there are people that are getting a 5% raise. Some are getting less, some are getting more because each step is a little bit different, but the average is 5%. So if our revenues are increasing 2% and salaries are increasing 5%, next thing you're going to have to cut if you want to balance that out. And I find it interesting that two people have said something about enrollment, because since this is a 4-year part of a forecast, I did 4 years. So I did kindergarten through grade 3. There's 682 kids. Grades 9 through 12, there's 779. So there's 97 more kids in the top grades than there are on the bottom. So that means those 4 grades graduate, there's 100 less kids coming up. So enrollment is declining. So when salaries are increasing more than revenues alone, and enrollment is declining, there's only really one option, and that is you have to reduce staff. So unfortunately, staffing does, it is going to be affected because that's half of our budget. So, and I do want to point out that, Mr. Peterson's talked quite a bit about, we've cut 41 jobs over the last 5 years, but even though we've cut 41 jobs over the last 5 years, our salary they've increased. So it's exponential. If I give you 1% this year and a 1% next year, I know it sounds like it's 2, but it's actually 3, because the 1% this year you get this year and next year. So there's 2 of them, and you get the 1% the next year. So that's 3. So it's an exponential growth on salaries. Benefits. Well, part of the benefits, retirement, they're tied to salaries. So if salaries go up, your insurance, your retirement's going to go up. That's an easy predictor. The killer is health insurance. If you look at that bottom graph on the right-hand side, the red are benefits, the blue line is salaries. We are on track for salaries to be overpassed by benefits, meaning we are going to be spending more on benefits than we are on salaries. And actually, for our non-certified staff, the vast majority of them, we already do spend more for them to have health insurance than we actually give them in a salary. So we have got to get that under control. And that is my single biggest concern, is the insurance. So you can see the health insurance is just going through the roof. Purchase services are everything from our utilities to repair costs, nursing services, liabilities. You heard somebody say that our special needs population is the one part of the population that's increasing. Well, those special needs populations require OT, PT, speech, one-on-one nurses, one-on-one aides. Those are purchase services. And since they're purchase services, we don't determine what they make. We have to pay whatever companies pay. Now, the bad thing is there are some things that we can go out to bid on, right? Which means we want to know how much it's going to put a roof on. We can go to 5 different contractors and get the bids. There are certain purchase services that there's one contractor within a 40-mile radius of here that has that kind of therapy. You're kind of stuck then. You can't not do it. It's a legal obligation for the student. You have to offer it. So unfortunately, purchase services are stuck. And, I'm sure you all have noticed your property insurance go up. Well, if your property insurance goes up, what do you think happened to ours? I'm sure you've all noticed your utilities go up. I mean, I know mine have. If yours have gone up, what do you think happens to ours? If you have to hire somebody to fix your furnace or repair a roof or a plumber to come fix something, yes, we have maintenance people that do that, but that there are times that things are so specialized. Like remember we had something before school start with Eastview, so specialized, we couldn't do that ourselves. We had to have an outside company come in that was certified to do certain things. Well, that service costs a lot more now than it did 5 years ago. So that's just, it's inflation, and there's not a whole lot we can do about that. And when there is something we can do about it, which means going out for bid, we go out for bid. He goes, Mr. Grove and, Mr. Neron are constantly saying, well, hey, let's get this RFP, request for proposal, out for bid, put it in the paper so we get the cheapest we can get. So that is 11%. The other two things, which are the 5% are capital outlay and supplies, that's only 5% of our budget, and in my personal and professional opinion, I think we've already cut that well beyond what it can be cut. And the reason I'm saying that is we have schedules, meaning Mr. Neron has a schedules, when can we replace this roof, then this roof, and this roof, and this roof. Mr. McVicker has a schedule, when do we replace this set of Chromebooks, and this set of Chromebooks, and this set of Chromebooks. Ms. Neron has a schedule, when do we replace this bit of curriculum, this bit of curriculum. Well, our budget is so tight, things are so tight that those things, those schedules, we've had conversations, painful conversations like, I know it's on the schedule, but we can't afford to do that this year. We don't have the money. If we do that, we aren't going to be able to pay payroll at the end of the year. So I personally think supplies and capital outlay have been cut to the point where, we are razor thin. And I think I have some principals here that are probably agree with me on that. So what is the conclusion and the bottom line? Well, the conclusion and the bottom line is our revenues are increasing minimal, 2% at best. Every time we turn around, the state's slapping us down, and we are not at the 20 mil floor, so even though people are feeling pain with property taxes, we are not getting an exponential amount, because when their appraised value goes up, our millage rate goes down. We're not collecting a lot more money. So 2% increase on revenues and much higher than 2% increase on all of our expenditures. So what does that mean? That means we have to cut, and we have to continue to cut. The unfortunate thing is, in my experience, you cannot continue to cut your way, because there is a point at which we can't cut anymore. And the other reason you can't cut your way is every time you make a cut, you're reducing the service that we are providing for an education. The class sizes have to go up. Well, if the class sizes have to go up, that's reducing the level of service we are providing to the students. It's just a function of life, unfortunately. We are in a tough position, and I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news after those wonderful presentations, and we do have wonderful employees. And that's, I'm looking out at you two won that award, and I really feel bad. There's nothing I can do about it. I didn't get us into this situation, but I feel bad because, it is affecting you, unfortunately. So I'm sorry about the bad news, but I'd rather tell you the truth than sugarcoat it and not have you know what's going on. Are there any questions before I move on? Okay, the last few, I'm going to do 5, 6, and 7 together. Those are grants that, Mr. Ditlevson has talked about. We have teachers that have been wonderful and gone out and sought grants to do specific things. This is just the board to approve those grants. So that concludes the treasurer's presentation. Do you guys have any questions?
Roll call. All right, roll call.
Okay. Mr. Wigton?
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker?
4.
Mrs. Cotterman?
4.
Miss Amy Walker?
4. Okay, on to item K, matters related to personnel. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
Just quickly, just want to recognize Holly North. She will be retiring at the end of the school year. She's been a long time teacher at the high school, and we'll recognize her at a meeting probably in May at the end of the year, but just wanted to call everybody's attention to that and congratulate her on a fine career here at Madison.
Okay. Item L, superintendent's business.
Could I do have a roll call?
Sorry.
Mrs. Melissa Walker?
4.
Mrs. Cotterman?
4.
Mr. Wigton?
4.
Miss Amy Walker?
4. Item L, superintendent's business. Can I get a motion?
So move.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Just comment on a couple of those items. Number one, about going out to bid for school bus. Just want to be very clear about that. Just because that resolution passes does not obligate us to purchase a bus, but it does give us that opportunity to do so in the case that somehow financially there would be a grant out there or something that would give us the opportunity to purchase a bus, that there would be one set aside for us to actually purchase. But we are not obligated to purchase a bus by doing so. And then number 5, that is our cybersecurity incident response plan. That is also connected to the board policy number, or item number 7, which is a board policy that I'm recommending we approve in one reading. Those two are connected, and those have to be in place by the end of this month. That's the rationale for the one reading. But essentially, that is a plan in place. If we would ever have a breach where ransom was asked for and demanded, we've got a plan in place of exactly who is doing what, and we can react immediately to that situation and react appropriately, that we would be prepared for that scenario. So that's what those are.
Roll call.
Mr. Wigton.
4.
Mrs. Cotterman.
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
4.
Miss Amy Walker.
4. Then item M, visitor comments.
My name is Miles Hain. I live on Stewart Road. I saw on your website that you have an issue you're proposing, frequently asked questions on putting in 1.5% income tax, which I think is a good idea. Should have done it years ago when the state first allowed it. But I haven't seen anything on it other than on the website, frequently asked questions. Do you have any intention to promote that in any way?
Do you want
Yeah, we have a levy committee, and that levy committee is working on strategies to promote that, and I think you'll start seeing some things.
Is that going to be in this election, November?
Yes.
So you're really running out of time.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of advice. I work at the election polls. I've done that for about the last 10 years, and I can tell you, when people go in to vote and they are surprised by any kind of a money levy, no matter who it's for, they vote against it. Without fail, they vote against it. They want to know, why are you asking for it? What's it going to benefit me? How is it going to affect me? All those kinds of questions. They want to know that before they vote. If they don't know that, they vote against it. Madison Township Fire Department had never failed a levy. They failed 2 in a row now, and they're going to put another one on, and they're still not talking about it. It'll probably fail again. Little bit of information. Madison Township, all by itself, population-wise, if it were a city, it would be the 2nd largest city in Richland County, bigger than Ontario, bigger than Shelby. And there's a lot of retired people here. This proposal will benefit retired people. And so far, they're being ignored. Nobody's saying anything to them. You need to get out to where they are. I gave the same advice to the trustees. If you want people to vote for something, you have to go to where they are. You can't expect them to come to you. They're not looking at your website. Most of the people aren't. I doubt that more than half of the people that have kids in Madison are looking at the website, because people don't do that much. But the people that don't, they're the ones that you need their vote. Madison Township, all by itself, can pass or fail anything you put on the ballot. I would recommend that you do not ignore them. Get out to them. Put papers in their hands. You can't just talk on the radio or something like that. You have to put information on their hands, maybe have people talk to them face to face. Go out with voter registration cards, because if you got retired people who are not registered to vote, get them registered. This will benefit them, but they don't know that right now. I've talked with retired people who say, I'm not voting for that. I'm saying, why not? This is money in your pocket. You don't pay that, and you get a cut on your property taxes. If you don't inform them, my guess is you're not going to have a chance. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to respond, the levy committee does intend to go knocking on their doors. So,
Well, there's a cutoff on when you can register voters, and that's coming up pretty soon.
I think the committee's focus will be more on those who are registered to vote and who would benefit from this actually passing.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Item N, President's Business. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Well, you don't have to do that. It's just informational.
Oh, yep, okay. So the next regular Board of Education meeting is October 15th at 6 PM. And can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
4.
Mr. Wigton.
4.
Mrs. Cotterman.
4.
Miss Amy Walker.
4.